So within this presentation, we will be evaluating the statement of teachers and assistants do not enhance learning, also known as the DIS Project 2009. The DIS Project is also known as the Deployment Impact of Support Staff. The project was conducted to be the largest study within the UK, funded by the English and Welsh government. The DIS project was designed to help fill in gaps within the knowledge regarding the development of the teaching assistants within the classroom. There are two aims within this study. One aim is to provide a description of the category of supported staff. This includes their characteristics and deployment within schools. Another aim, which was conducted by Webster 2011, was to analyse the impact of support the staffs have on the teachers, as well as the teaching and the pupil learning, and perhaps even behavioural impact, that they have on the academic process of children. Some of our key findings would consist in teaching assistants having a positive effect on the reducing task behaviour and disruption within the mainstreams of schools. However, Webster 2011 addresses how there is little evidence that teaching assistants over school years improve pupils' positive approach towards learning. For example, pupils who received most support from teaching assistants were behind their peers by 2 sub-levels within the national curriculum. Webster also states that the effect of teaching assistants' support on pupils' academic process showed that there was no positive effects of teaching assistants' support and any subject of any of the 7 year groups they studied on. Those pupils who had the most support and attention from teaching assistants made less progress than those who received little to no support from teaching assistants.
Reasons. Blashford explains that there's a wider pedagogical role that will help us to break down the reasons of the negative findings through 3 main components: preparedness, deployment, and practice. So in terms of employment, majority of TAs worked overtime and for voluntary basis, and Blashford reports that the majority of those TAs were women who are white ethnic origin and who were over 36. Preparedness. In terms of training, teachers should be provided training in how to work with TAs, but 75% of those teachers had no such training. But however, TAs were satisfied with the training they received from inset days and service days. Day-to-day preparations. TAs had no feedback or planning time with the TA, and TAs were feeling underprepared for the tasks that they were set by the teacher. Deployment. The majority of TA support were for those with SEN or a statement plan, and pupils were more likely to have sustained interactions with the TA instead of the teacher. In terms of practice, TAs were inaccurate and confusing, and TAs were more concerned with task completion than making sure that the child understood or if there's any learning happening at all.
What were the implications of this study? It was highlighted that there were issues in the deployment and preparedness of the practice within the education system, which has negatively impacted how effective teaching assistants are for children's learning. This needs to be improved. This was not the fault of teaching assistants. Funding and pay. Schools now spend approximately $4.4 billion each year on TAs, corresponding to about 13% of the education budget. This was found by the Education Endowment Council in 2016. According to the Unison average, annual salary for a TA is $17,365. This is based on a 30 to 39-hour working week plus 4 or 5 weeks holidays. Test editorial 2019. Higher-level teaching assistants, HLTA, can earn up to about, on average, $23,000 annually. However, experienced HLTAs can earn up to about $29,000 annually. Think Teaching 2022.
The role of a teacher assistant in primary education consists of many things. So they work with groups of different needs of children. So some need help with reading and writing. and assistants usually, majority of the time, actually help out with tidying up their classrooms and making sure everything's ready for the teacher and everything's just tidy and organised. And the next thing they do is that they get ready for lessons, so they're prepared by giving out pens and papers and setting out books on their where they're supposed to be sat on their tables. So it just makes life easier with the names right there, and the kids know where to go and where to sit and be prepared. From volunteering, I realised that TAs observe and record pupils, so the work they've done, they would record pupils talking about it and talking about the experience, try to get them out their shell. TAs, you all help with photocopying and making sure they have enough supplies and ordering supplies for teachers, because teachers just don't have time. So teacher assistants sort of delegate with them. They also supervise children in playgrounds. Obviously, children can't be left alone in playgrounds all alone, as it's a hazard. So they're there to supervise and make sure they're fine, and sort of have an eye everywhere. So we know that the DIS project disagrees that TAs are not useful and that they're ineffective to schools. However, from my experience as being a volunteer and Samira's experience as being an actual TA, and then the information we've gathered for this presentation, we know that being a TA is effective and has an impact towards children's learning needs, and it's not even just children being benefited from it, it's teachers being benefited from it as well, as they have more time to plan. So Samira, what is your opinion on the DIS project?
My view on the DIS project is that I feel that TAs are put in a negative light, but it's obviously not the fault of the TA, it's those who recruit the TAs. So things like deployment, practice and preparedness need to be improved so that TAs can get the best out of the job they signed up for. And as experienced TA, we do so much for the teacher, so much for the students, so that the overall school experience is quite a pleasurable experience, and that the kids are also learning and growing at the same time.
Teacher assistants' impact on children are very immense and positive. For example, Plowden's report and the CERN Code of Practice, these reports promote TAs that help with the workload with teachers. So for example, by 2003, the national agreement was rising standards and tackling workload was announced. So this meant that TAs and teachers got to work together as a team, build a relationship, which has many positive effects with that, and delegate tasks with each other. So this was a great opportunity for them, as they got to understand the workload, the work that they have to give to the children, and how to approach the materials to the children, as children have different needs that the main teacher may not have realised, but the TA has realised. Based on what Webster Blatchford 2012 mentioned, that support from TAs have a positive impact on pupils' outcomes. TAs have a positive impact on teachers and teaching, which meant that the impact of TAs are immense, but they also realised that there's little research on the impact of TAs, which may have obviously an effect on schools that actually need TAs. TAs deliver curricular intervention, so they have a direct positive impact on pupil progress. So the development aspect on children's learning are based on TAs needing a good understanding of how children learn. So this is done by a claim from Vygotsky, if I'm saying the name right. His theory is that moving children between zones when learning. So this is based on their comfort zone and towards their potential. So you try to push them and guide them into their potential by just getting them out of their shell. And this is called the zone of proximal development. This is done by the use of social interaction, which could be quite daunting for a lot of people, especially those who are affected by COVID. during quarantine. So this is why TAs are needed for the one-on-one support and encouragement. And so teachers need opportunities for students to have group work and be able to pair up and do activities together.
After doing some research, we have found out that there are a few positive impacts of teaching assistants. For example, Mackenzie 2011 mentions that teaching assistants very often have strong commitment towards their work. TAs within the classroom, using their own knowledge, can ultimately ensure more efficient and effective learning. A more responsive and motivated team approach within the classroom, according to Ashford and Joseph 2014. Blatchford 2009 also expresses the fact that teaching assistants are essential to children's learning, especially with children who have barriers within the mainstream of education and schools. Supported staff, such as teaching assistants, do have a positive effect and impact towards teachers as well, not just children. This is because they can help teachers with the workload, easing the stress, and the level of job satisfaction can be handled pretty well, according to Blatchford 2009.
Student voice. Bland and Sayholm research people's views on what they would like in a TA. Findings were that pupils wanted TA who were strict, firm, and had assertiveness, and some pupils wanted a TA who was kind and fun. And some of those pupils, in terms of support, wanted a TA who didn't give the answers out, and would allow the child to think about those answers. School prefects from Nant Y Park Primary School expressed some of the same viewpoints as well.
How to make the best use of teaching assistants in primary education. Deployment. This project findings and other sources. Teaching assistants were used to replace the teachers. Majority of TA support was for the pupils on a school action plan or those in the statements of SEN. Webster et al. 2011. Mackenzie 2011 research into TAs found that the TAs were more confused over the lack of clarity in their roles at most times. How to maximise TAs. School staff should be organised in a way that pupils who struggle the most should have the most time with the teacher as possible. Where TAs are working with low attaining pupils, equal high quality teaching throughout intensive but structural interventions. Education Endowment Foundation 2021. Page 10. Ashbridge and Osvaldo 2014 discuss that TAs need to know what their role is within the teaching is planning with a one-to-one and a group of children in the whole class. The work of teachers is not to replace them. Teachers should develop effectiveness within teams and teachers of TAs who understand the complementary roles of the classroom.
So, within practice or implementation of this, the DIS project found that teaching assistants' explanations were sometimes inaccurate. Maximise teaching assistants. Pupils felt that they were comfortable with taking risks with their learning. They provided the right amount of support for the children and at the right time as well. They often used open questions and they let pupils take ownership of their work, according to the Education Endowment Foundation 2021. Teaching assistants are important as they are meant to encourage to the children and contribute to their work. However, children are there to make their own decisions and come up with their own answers, according to Carol M. However, from the DIS project findings, we found out that teaching assistants sometimes explain their work or a certain topic, but not in a quite accurate way or not to how the teacher's standards are.
Preparedness. As we've already spoken about the DIS project findings, other sources like Angelines et al. Describes the absence of communication between a teacher and TA to the point where there would be no exchange of talk throughout the course of the whole lesson. So in ways to improve this would be training that should be given to teachers about how to best maximise TAs in the classroom, The teacher and TA liaison, they could use assembly time or just before school starts to work on planning, timetabling, what's going to be going on in the classroom. TAs needs to know in advance would be things like concepts, facts about the information being taught, intended learning outcomes, and expect and required feedback. And that's from Education Endowment Foundation. Ashbridge and Josworth 2014 stressed the importance of teachers allowing TAs to be involved in the planning, monitoring, and assessment. And also TAs should be given ongoing training and professional development, even when using a specific pedagogy like formative assessments and cooperative assessments, where they need to be fully trained in the principles of that approach.
What the future of teaching assistants in primary education. For Wales, Donaldson 2015, page 92, explained that the importance that both teachers and support staff receive their correction in order to effectively teach in the new curriculum. Although many TAs by Careers Wales are said to be volunteers hoping to gain experience, and it needs to be treated and paid as such, instead of being underpaid and in many cases having a similar role as the teaching, leading to small groups. They also said that there is a future high demand in teaching.
So, to conclude our findings, we found out that the DIS project is against the idea of teaching assistants, and we shouldn't blame teaching assistants for the results and outcomes of the children's learning. We also realised that the study was only conducted within England and Wales, meaning that Scotland and Northern Ireland wasn't taken into an account, meaning that the results could have a different effect and outcome. This might be because the curriculum is different from the Welsh and English national curriculum. However, we don't know as it wasn't tested or studied on. Teaching assistants are very valuable to the education system, as they can be seen as a real asset within the classroom, helping to improve pupils' learning and even help ease the workload within staff. There are areas of deployment and practice which needed to be improved, as it just creates the enhancement of teaching assistants within the classroom.
In this section, we'll be talking about our curriculum. So our curriculum will have 6 principles, and these principles are from different parts of the UK curriculum. So the first one is embed mandatory cross-curricular skills, which is from Wales. The second is to incorporate a range of assessment approaches to support learners' progression, which is also from Wales. The third one is to be suitable for learners of different ages, abilities and attitudes, which is also from Wales. The fourth one is to achieve personal fulfillment and individual well-being through living a successful life, which is from Northern Ireland. The fifth one is for successful learners, confident individuals, responsible citizens and effective contributors, which is from Scotland. And the last one is from England, is to be broad and balanced. So our curriculum will have 6 subjects, compulsory subjects, which is maths, English, science, religious education, history and arts, and we'll embed that through the cross-curricular skills, so literacy, numeracy and digital competence. And we also have 4 purposes, which are health and well-being, adult life and responsibility, ethical and cultural learning, creative and imaginative play.
So within our curriculum, we want to embrace health and well-being, and to do this, our education needs to have a voice and an impact with addressing children's mental health, as it's not really normalized, which I know is a topic that's always spoken about, but it is true. And the way to overcome it and sort of have an outcome from it is making sure that teachers' approaches on it is sort of comforting for children. So when they express their emotions and speak their mind. They should be able to feel comfortable to express their thoughts. Health and well-being sessions will be implemented as subjects, so they will have importance just like English, maths and science. They will, hopefully, with our approach, children will feel comfortable with the class and ask questions about concerns they have. And the parents' input would be advised, as parents may have concerns that children may not realise. The forms of consent would be sent out to parents and guardians, as some topics are sensitive and some topics are not agreed with certain cultures and religions. They have a right to know what their children is learning. Another thing would be that school counsellors would be implemented throughout the school, so children could talk about their feelings and on a personal level when feeling unsure or confused. And this is sort of based on Ireland's national curriculum. They honour personal health and well-being, which influences a personal fulfilment and individual well-being through living a successful lifestyle. So different forms of learning would be implemented in our curriculum by developing skills and awareness. So to do this, we want to implement outdoor learning and storytelling. So this has many aspects. So this allows the imagination of children to take place, which makes it unlimited for them. And there are different ideas that could be used, like comic strips, storyboards, and puppet sacks, and much more. Vygotsky claimed to get them out of their comfort zone to help with their social skills. We want to implement drama and role play, acting out storybooks, or even allowing the children to make up their own story, which will give them a great advantage to get out this shell and be able to be unlimited with their imagination. And the next thing is art and design. So this has many opportunities for children, as the simple concept of art allows children to perhaps draw their thoughts and feelings through different media within art lessons, which is an expression for the health and well-being classes that we want to start in our curriculum. Allowing all these different forms of creative play develops aspect of creativity within the child, and this is supported by England's national curriculum, which they advise teachers to develop exciting and stimulating lessons to promote the development of pupils' knowledge and to make their lessons fun and worthwhile without it seeming like a drag.
So the concept behind adulthood life and responsibility lessons within our curriculum, these would refer to just life skills needed within the future of the child. So those could be the financial aspect, being how to open a bank account, how to save up money, and the impact that money has on an individual and how it can affect them within their life. How to get a job, how to apply to a job, what the stages of an interview is, and how many interviews one might go about within trying to attain this job. Also, knowing how to write a CV at a young age could be very beneficial, as it just helps them within their future. Other life lessons and skills would be taught, such as cleaning and cooking skills, just to help one prepare in the future, and I think it's really handy if everybody knows how to cook. This is a bit similar to the Scotland national curriculum as well, as within their maths and English and reading, they like to advocate development skills, which allows them to be responsible and also allows them to do some sort of problem solving skills as well. So the concept of ethical and cultural learning is to mention the different cultural and religious beliefs that one may have. But however, within this, we got to make sure the teachers don't have any cultural or religious biases, as it could affect one's to learn. The implementation of the ethical and cultural learning would allow diversity and social justice to be inputted and embedded within the curriculum, as well as just equality and respect for one another's beliefs. We would also implement history within our curriculum, mentioning how not everybody is from the Welsh curriculum and Wales in itself, and English is not everybody's first language, so just knowing the different history behind everybody's ethnic origins and the development of each and every country. Also, implementation of other religions within RE lessons. Not everybody follows certain religions, and it is just nice to have a broader understanding of the different religions within our society today. This is also similar to the Scotland national curriculum, as they like to tend to take an account into the needs of other people and understand as well that English isn't everybody's first language.
Cross-curricular skills. In our curriculum, we will be adopting similar cross-curricular skills from the Welsh curriculum, which are literacy, numeracy and digital competence. These skills will be taught across our curriculum. The England national curriculum doesn't include cross-curriculum subjects, as they only comprise the 12 subjects classified in the legal terms as core and other foundation subjects. National Curriculum for England 2014. Adding this doesn't allow for learners to gain opportunities to further their knowledge in other aspects through the required subjects. Digital competency is an ever-expanding, as Donaldson 2015 argues that society has changed. Children and young people exhibit a digital world, and their personal, social and educational lives are increasingly intertwined with technology in various rapidly changing forms. Literacy is essential for learning across the curriculum. Learners should be given the chance to explain their thinking through exploring and discussing ideas and language skills at an appropriate level. Donaldson 2015. Numeracy is essential to independent living and work. Learners should be given the opportunity to deepen their knowledge of number through different contexts. Donaldson 2015. Literacy and numeracy will be deployed using the Literacy and Numeracy Framework, LNF, that will provide guidance about a common approach to reinforce of such skills at different developmental stages. Donaldson 2015.
The structure of our curriculum. The structure of our curriculum will follow a similar approach to the Welsh curriculum, in which they have introduced progression steps instead of key stages, similar to the England and Northern Ireland curriculum. The Welsh curriculum is organised as a continuum of learning, and it's from the ages 3 to 16. The curriculum also contains progression steps at 5 points through a learner's academic journey, which are at 5, 8, 11, 14 and 16. So these progression steps are actually a guide through a child's learning journey, as children learn at different stages. So it allows them not to be fixed into a universal expectation, but rather the expectations that are actually catered around the child's individual progress and journey.
Compulsory subjects within our curriculum. Maths and English will be considered as core subjects. This allows some sort of academic learning to be included, as well as allowing space for creativity. Problem solving can be developed within the maths lessons, and creativity and creative writing will be expressed through English. History will also be one of our subjects, which is compulsory within our curriculum, as it allows a wider understanding of different cultures, beliefs and other ethnic learning. Art as well will also be part of our curriculum, as it has room for creativity within the child and allows their imagination to grow and just allows their mind to become more flexible. Religious education, which is similar to history, would be implemented within our curriculum, as it just allows the understanding of ethnical backgrounds, allows equality and diversity to be implemented. Life skills as well will be implemented within our curriculum as subjects as well. So they would be considered as food and nutrition classes, or home and economics, technology, and etc. and other classes other subjects that just allow kids to develop new skills to help them within their future as well.
Rationale for subject based instead of areas of learning. In our curriculum, we'll be adopting subjects similar to the English curriculum instead of the areas of learning, which is similar to the Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland curriculum. So for example, the English curriculum focuses on 12 subjects classified in legal terms as core and the other as foundation subjects. And this actually allows learners to gain opportunities to further their knowledge in other expressly required subjects. For teachers, this allows actually greater professionalism and freedom over how they organize and teach the curriculum. The reason why we chose subjects over areas of learning is because it's difficult to encompass everything into areas of learning, and subjects actually allow a more depth knowledge for the students to grasp.
So after conducting some research, we got some views on pupils for our curriculum. So pupils should be given the opportunity to choose what they would like to learn according to the overall school approach within our curriculum. The Welsh and Scottish curriculum, they prefer to take the approach in giving the child the choice in what they learn. Teaching and learning methods can often offer opportunities for children and young people to choose their particular activities, according to Dawson 2015, which then result in children helping with providing work intel for the teacher and encourages more engaging learning. Scotland's curriculum argues that one of their purposes in the within the learners should be more effective contributors, meaning in relation to the idea that children participating within their learning. This is according to the Scottish Curriculum Excellence 2015. Legislation within 2014, where Mark Presley praises Scotland schools for being the first nations within the UK to establish the rights of children and participate within their schooling. The Advisory Council of Learning and Teaching within Scotland 2002 on page 99 expresses strongly that children and young adolescents should be seen as citizens from now on, and for the future that they should not only learn but also partake within society. This could be through remodeling through others and being able to participate during the learning journey throughout schools.
Views on teachers in our curriculum. So teachers should have some level of self-determination as they spend most of the time with the students already. So it's only right for them to plan lessons suited to their students' abilities. Will help the children be engaged in the curriculum. So Donaldson 2015 describes how maths should be taught in a way that engages the children and encourages them to learn. And teachers should be able to decide things like whether maths should be outdoors. Priestley, Baster and Robinson 2016 explain how recent curriculum policy in the UK and elsewhere has defined teachers as agents of change. He also argues that such autonomy should be pushed and encouraged, and that schools should trust and have confidence in teachers to take risks and to come up with new ideas on how the curriculum should be taught. So good schooling lies with student voice and personalised learning. These ideas are student-centred, and it follows the constructivist theory, in which Kelly describes as curriculum is as a process. And Carol explains that learning can only take place when the pupils is actively engaged in participating or in understanding learning experience facilitated by the teacher.
According to John Darbell, teaching assistants have a specific role in the classroom, which does include planning 25% of the schoolwork. However, there might be a bit more within our curriculum just to help out the teacher with the workload and give the teacher a bit more of a time to relax and ease the stress of them. To maximize the impact of the teaching assistant deployment, we would we wouldn't replace the teachers, we would just have the teaching assistants there. Just as a form of reassurance, teaching assistants would be able to help the pupils with independent learning and manage their own learning as well outside of the school hours. Teaching assistants will hopefully as well ensure that they are fully prepared for the role within the classroom, make sure everything is as well set up for the child or children. Teaching assistants will also deliver high quality one-to-one and even small group structured interventions just to help the teacher out with those that are having a bit more difficulty with learning as well. Making sure that the teaching assistant knows how they're going to teach the subject further and how it would be implemented upon the children.